¿Cómo estás, people? And welcome back to the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Jay Real. We have a really exciting show for you all. We have a lot of sports topics to cover. So again, as always, we're just going to dive right on in. And the first thing we're going to talk about, this is a little bit of, I don't want to say a special show, but it is a focus show, and we're going to be dealing with the NFL. Over the last few years, the NFL salaries seem to be just getting outrageous, and everyone will say, well, they deserve these salaries. They entertain the fans. They do something that not every guy can do, not your average Joe man can do. So we're going to look at some of these salaries. We're going to focus on the QBs, the quarterbacks of the NFL, because as we all know, quarterbacks are the ones that drive the NFL. They're the ones that make the big money, and they're the ones that the fans really want to see. Over the years, it has kind of transitioned. You had quarterbacks, you had receivers, you had running backs, you even had some defensive and offensive line players that people paid to see. Now it seems like we're really focusing on these quarterbacks, and how do we know this? Let's look at the salaries. A few years ago, I remember calling into a sports show and talking about the amount of money the quarterbacks were making. I also recall telling this particular sports person that I just felt it was ridiculous that quarterbacks were making $15, $16, $17 million a year. Not through the course of a 4-year, 5-year contract, a year. And I remember this particular sports guy telling me, oh, that's ridiculous. These guys aren't making that much. I'm being a little bit critical. I'm stretching the numbers. And back then I actually was probably a little bit high on my assumption on how much quarterbacks make. Now, this is about 3-4 years ago. Now let's look at today's dollar amounts. Joe Flacco is making this year in 2013 an estimated a little over $20 million, into that close to that $21 million range for the 2013 season. That's right. Over $20 million is his estimated pay for 2013. Now, a lot of people will say, well, the man just won the Super Bowl, and I totally agree. You should have to pay the man. He should not be the bottom of the list when it comes to quarterback salaries. But over $20 million a year? Come on, folks. This is football. Do I know that these athletes put their health on the line, that they put their futures on the line when it comes to their health? We know all about the concussions. We know about all the injuries that these players sustain over a career. But let's not forget, this is a game. We have guys that hold out. We have guys that decide they don't want to play when their contracts aren't where they feel they should be. Now let's look at your other typical jobs. Police officers, military, firemen. I mean, we can go on and on with the jobs and the careers where people lay their lives on the line. I don't see too many firemen saying, hey, I don't like the contract I'm getting, so when that big warehouse blows up and it's on fire and lives are on the line, that they decide they don't want to get up and go down that pole, shimmy down the pole, get their gear on and get on that fire truck and make it to that fire to try to put it out. I don't see police officers deciding one day they don't like the way that they're being treated and that their salaries aren't worth their lives. So when a big robbery or a big event is going on, these guys are not just saying, you know what, put our guns down. We're not going to go out and try to save people. We're not going to go out and try to keep the community safe. And same thing, I don't even want to get to the military. These guys aren't looking at it like, I only make $50 grand a year, so why should I put my life on the line and go kill people to make our country free? These are the individuals that are putting their lives on the line every day, have to be there focused every day. And so we got NFL quarterbacks making $15, $20 million a year. And let's just look at the list. Drew Brees, $20 million a year. Peyton Manning, who had an amazing comeback from neck surgery, neck injury surgery, and he's making $19 million a year. And we can keep going. Tony Romo, who has, I think, won one playoff game. I'm not even sure if that's the case. This guy is estimated to make over $17 million a year this season starting in 2013. What has Tony Romo done to earn that kind of money? Does he have a huge array of playoff wins, Super Bowl titles? No. It's just amazing to me. And we could keep on going. Eli Manning, 15-plus million estimated this year in 2013. Tom Brady, who, if at all anyone should be saying something, he at least has 3 Super Bowls under his belt, even though I feel 2 of those were kind of given to the Patriots. He still has them. No one's going to fight or turn away championships, Super Bowl wins. The guy has 3, and he's towards the bottom of the elite quarterbacks making money. We got Matt Schaub. What has Matt Schaub done? He keeps choking up big games, 13-plus million. Sam Bradford, because of the rookie contracts, the way they used to be, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, before they put a cap on that, has just raked in the money at $13 million a season. $13 million estimated this year in 2013. And I'm going to just finish off this list with my love quarterback, my man crush guy, Big Ben Roethlisberger, right over $12 million a year. So, right there's a quick list of probably the top 10 quarterbacks, you could say, with the biggest top 10 salaries. But folks, we at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show wanted to break this down, because at what point is enough enough? At what point do we say, this is a game? We have starving children in this freaking country. And I'm not saying these guys are responsible to take care of that. But how in the world, when people can't even feed their families, aren't making enough money, going to work 10-hour days, 9-hour days, 6-7 days a week, but we have these guys crying and belly aching and just whining about problems they're going through in the NFL and situations that they're going through in their chosen profession when they're making this kind of money. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overreaching. Maybe I'm not understanding what these guys provide, because everybody loves the NFL. I love the NFL. I watch it rigorously, not only during the season, but even can't get enough of it during the off season. But I just feel that sometimes we got to really evaluate what we're doing and what we are trying to accomplish in this world when it comes to providing a place and something that your everyday person can enjoy a life, live a life. And seeing these kinds of salaries are just astronomical. It's just amazing to me. $20 million to go out, throw a football, and now with the way the rules are, you can't even hit these guys. Let's put this in perspective. Now with the way that the rules are set up, QBs are so protected that these guys barely even get. Peyton Manning takes one good hit to his area of his neck or anywhere that would be a very stress, hit, could cause this guy to never walk again. But he is so assured that he'll be protected with these new rules and the way that the officials are refereeing these games, that the guy risks going out on the field to play a game, to play a sport. That's just how unreal that this game has become, and it's just something that we wanted to throw out to you. We're not going to, jump on my soapbox too much. Soapbox here is not too much. But we just wanted to throw it out to you and get your take, your cut on how you feel that the football world is going, the way the trends are going. Do you think these NFL players are making what they're worth? Do you think some of these guys are worth $20, $15, even $12 million a year? Again, I'm not stressing through a season. There are guys that have played 10 seasons in the NFL and probably haven't made $15 million. And I don't want to jump back and go back to the 50s and the 60s. We'll just go back to the 80s. We'll go back to the 90s. That wasn't that long ago that you had hard-hitting, dedicated professional football players that didn't get scared of getting hit, that did not get scared of going through the middle, even though they were going to get their heads ripped off if they try to catch the ball. And let's just put it like this: quarterbacks that weren't afraid to take a nasty hit, a licking from the blind side, not making this kind of money. It's just something that I just had to get off my chest. Just get it out there to you all. You're welcome to leave feedback on the comment section or get back with us through the Player Zone, again on Facebook, or our Average Joe Sports Talk Show on Facebook. But just something we wanted to throw out there: are the NFL quarterbacks overpaid? And we're not just talking about the elite, we're talking as in general. Alright, we'll leave that with you all and see what you think. Now let's move on to the draft. That's right, the draft is going to start today. I believe it's later this afternoon, early evening time. And the big talk is, where's Manti Te'o going? We've already covered this subject a few times, so we're not going to beat it down. We just wanted to throw this out. If Manti Te'o does not go in the first round, it's a travesty. It's ridiculous. Manti Te'o should get an opportunity to go to an elite team, somebody that needs a linebacker, and I can name 3 or 4 right off the bat from Chicago, even my Pittsburgh Steelers who lost Harrison, and on and on and on. There are needs. Give this guy a shot with the cap for the rookies. You're not going to have to just sell the franchise to get this guy. So why not give it a chance, see if this guy can produce. With that said, we're going to leave that. The NFL draft is going to be very interesting this season. But let's just be fair. Let's be real here. The draft is not just packed with superstars coming into the league. So there's only a couple, 3 players that we're really interested in seeing or caring about where they go. And we'll do a wrap-up show on the draft on Tuesday's show to see where these players went. So be sure to tune in the draft. Make sure you check it out. It should be interesting. Moving on from NFL, we're just going to go real quick because our last show covered a little bit of the UFC event coming up. That's right, UFC 159 is upon us. It will be here. The big fight everyone's waiting to see, as we already discussed, is the Shell Shonen and John Bones fight. The odds are stacked against Shell Shonen, but this is one thing that we have to say here. It seems like Shell Shonen will pick a fight with anyone. It doesn't matter if the guy's 200 pounds or 1,000 pounds. Shell Shonen will fight them. Now, with that said, Shell Shonen does show the freaking cojones, I guess you could say, to take these fights, but it also just shows you that he's a journeyman. He doesn't care who he fights. He doesn't care what it'll cost him, because at the end of the day, all it does is get him his name in the spotlight and his name in the papers and in the press, which we have to say is a smart brand decision. The guy is always relevant because he's always running his mouth. So he's a smart businessman. He probably wouldn't even have to fight in the UFC. He could probably run for some kind of mayor or city office official and make lots of loot. So we have to give Shell Shonen his props, because he will take these fights regardless of his life is on the line here, because we feel John Jones Bones is going to put a beat down on him this weekend on UFC 159. That's our prediction. There are some really good fights throughout this card, but this is the main event. This is the one that everyone's talking about. Why? Because Shell Shonen talked about it for months. So we'll have to see how that wraps up. Again, we'll hit that on Tuesday's show. And hopefully Shell Shonen is alive and not in a full body cast after that fight. So there goes our little UFC topic. We're just going to move right along and go ahead and go into the NBA. The playoffs are going just as planned. I don't think anyone doubted that the Heat would just be running in cruise control, and they are. They're going to go through these first couple of rounds without a problem. Again, we can't stress enough. We hope to God that someone in the West will give them some competition during these playoffs. Now, moving on into the West, Lakers are still just a mess. They're now behind the Spurs 2-0 in that playoff series. And we have a feeling, unless something just catastrophic happens to the Spurs, they'll sweep the LA Lakers. We would like to see it a little more competitive than that, but we also got to think about this. If the Spurs can sweep and get some rest before they have to match up with maybe someone like the Heat, maybe the Spurs, even as old as they are, with some good rest, without having some big series where they're going 6, 7 games before they have to hit or meet up with the Heat, if that's a possibility in the playoffs, these guys could possibly give them a run, a little bit of competition. That's all we can hope for. Then our other team that could push the Heat is the OKC guys. Now, they're playing very well. They just skimmed one by the other night, winning by, I believe, 2 points. But OKC is up in their series 2-0. That is the team. They have the youth, they have the talent, and they have the hunger, I believe, this season to push the Heat. Why? Because they had them in the finals last year, and they blew it. They just got beat up, and I think that experience will help them this season if they can meet the Heat in the finals again. So we'll just have to see how that plays off. And then you got the other teams that are running through who really is interested in what they're doing, because, again, it's going to come down to 2, 3, maybe 4 teams. The Clippers will hopefully push as well. We just see a little spotlight from them of shininess that they can push through these playoffs and maybe learn something, get some experience, and compete in the end. And then we're going to go ahead and just wrap up with NASCAR. That's right, we're going to cover a little bit of NASCAR because Matt Kenseth just got freaking raked over some hot coals over this. They do these tests that they break the cars down, and after his just recent win, they break the cars down, they measure everything, they go through the science of it and the measurements and all this stuff that they do to these cars to be sure that they're all on the same playing field, that they're all using the same schematics, I guess you could say, of a racing car. And on one of the 8 pieces to their vehicle, we found out that they're just a minute, minuscule, off of just one of these pieces, underweight, and it cost them dearly. Because now these guys are losing points, they're losing times, their cars being suspended. I mean, just on and on and on with NASCAR. And these officials just raking Matt Kenseth and his club over the coals. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we'll finish up with NASCAR and then do our wrap-up. But we want you all to think, is this fair? Is this minute, minuscule weight worth what the officials are doing to Matt Kenseth and their team? So think that over, mull that over in your brains. Remember, you can leave feedback, comments, either on our Facebook, Average Joe Sports Talk Show, or the Player Zone, or you can even leave your comments right here on the YouTube site. We'll be happy to read them and get into them. We have no worries about getting positive or negative feedback. We just wanted to hear from you on this subject. So check out this commercial and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back from the break. We hope you enjoyed that commercial. We just got Gonzo in the house. What's been going on, man?
Work, man.
Work. All right. Well, it's been a while since Gonzo's been in, and he just made it to the house. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to throw some things to you that we had talked about in the earlier in the show and get your feedback on it now that we can. We were talking about NFL quarterbacks and their salaries.
Okay.
Right now, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Joe Flacco are the top 3 highest-paid quarterbacks, all breaking around $20 million for the 2013 season. What do you think about these salaries, and are they justified for playing a football sport?
Well, if I look at it from a standpoint of a fan, okay. Yeah, they need to pay for the talent, and they need to pay for the guys, this. But if I look at it as an ordinary person looking at it, it's way too damn much for a person to be making that kind of money when we got teachers who teach our kids aren't making nothing, having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
We got police officers, firefighters, ambulance crews that put their lives on the line all the time and don't get near that.
Not even 10% of that.
Then you get into the military, and they're protecting our country,
yeah.
and they don't even get nowhere.
Right, so basically you just hit the same topics we covered earlier in the show, where these guys are making this kind of money when they could still decide, I don't want to go to work today, so I'm going to hold out because I want another $2 million.
Right.
Or, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling that great today, or I'm not feeling in the mood, so I'm going to, I'm going to take a day off, or I'm not going to play to my best ability. And these guys are making millions upon millions. I'm not talking over a career, over a year. $20 million a year.
Right.
I think if you polled your average Joe guy, our audience, they would take that $20 million and that would last them a lifetime.
Oh, yeah. $1 million could clear up a lot of stuff for me right now.
Exactly, right? Anyway, I guess right here we have in the house with us Gonzo. This guy's your average Joe. He's part of the crew. He gets out there. He works his 9 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, gets his few days of vacation every single year, and hearing these kind of salaries to me is just mind-boggling.
Oh, yeah. You got to put it in perspective of an ordinary person compared to that. But, on the other hand, it's like, with the movies and everything else, it's the same thing. We pay all these entertainers all this big amount of money to do the things that they do, or we expect them to do, and some of them float that money all over the place, and some, do good things with it. You know?
And that is true. These guys do generate a large amount of revenue, so we're not trying to say that they're not worth a good salary. That's not what we're trying to say here at all. My intention and my idea of bringing this topic up, because we saw this on the Fox.com, so anyone that wants to research this on their own can go to Fox.com and they'll give you the top 10 salaries. But we had to bring this up because it's just amazing to me that 5 years ago, when I was talking to a sports guy and I was bringing up salaries and I was saying 15, 20 million, the guy was laughing at me because he's like, no one makes that kind of money. Mm-hmm. Now it's like every Joe guy on the sports look.
Well, you hear it all the time. You hear all on 30/30, ESPN, and all these shows that they go back and talk to some of these guys, who played back when there weren't even helmets. They were just leather straps across their head, that kind of stuff. Old players for the Cowboys and stuff that you thought at that time they were making buku bucks, and they weren't. They were making a couple hundred a game, and that was it, and then. Shoe deals, you count the shoe deals, you count the jersey sales, which really is probably for the team and for the NFL, not so much towards the player. But, they just, all honesty, looking at it from a fan's perspective, I can understand, but then you look at it from an average person, and it's like, Jesus, these guys make way too much money. Well,
we don't want to beat this down. We got a lot to go on to. We also hit a little bit about Manti Te'o, and that they're saying that he might go second, third round now. Our point was, Gonzo, is that this guy, up until his Alabama game, was like the number 1 pick. Right. He was like, everyone was on Manti Te'o's jock. This was the guy. He has one bad game, and all of a sudden now he's third rounder.
It's not just the bad game. I think it's all the controversy. It's also what he did at the combine. Those are all things that factor into it. I kind of followed it, but I laid off of it after the combine. I heard he went back and ran
real good,
something good, But I mean, they're looking at it from what I heard, and I can see their perspective is that Matateo was supposed to be a leader. He was supposed to be the guy that you could count on. He's the guy that these teams were supposed to be able to count on. And with this whole thing with this girl that doesn't even exist, and it was a guy and all this other stuff, and I mean, they're looking at that and then saying, well, why did he lie about it? Why didn't he just come out and tell the truth?
Yeah, but does that have anything to do with his physical play on the field?
Well, no, it's not. But they're not looking at physical play.
But wouldn't they? Shouldn't they?
No, they should. But that, I mean, that's the main thing. Yeah. But they're also looking for that person who can help their team improve themselves.
That's true.
I mean, you look at Denver Broncos, and then you put Tebow in there. I mean, Tebow's good and everything like that, but he went in and he changed that whole design of that team just because of his locker room presence. Yeah. That's what they're looking for, the locker room presence.
That's true. So the draft's going on. Yeah, the draft's going on tonight, so we'll be sitting by there checking it out. We'll see where he goes. Then we talked a little bit about John Jones Bones fight going against Shell Shonen this weekend. That's a big fight. Mm-hmm. What's your prediction?
I want to go with Bones. I have to. I mean, I just think he could take him. I think, I don't think Shell Shonen's, that great.
He has a big mouth, though.
Yeah, that's where the big problem is he just needs to shut his big mouth.
All right, so you heard it right here. Gonzo's going with John Bones Jones, same as Jay Real right here with you. Now, we were wrapping up with a little bit with the NBA. Lakers are 2-0 behind the Spurs. What's going on with the Lakers? You think they have a chance to come back? Or
I don't know. Hey, my Celtics are in the same boat.
Celtics, they're down 2-0. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Sorry, folks. Yeah, we got it right here. Gonzo's bringing up the Celtics, who we thought might have been a team to mess with the Heat, but it's not looking that way. No. OKC's up 2-0. They're the ones that might be able to push the Heat.
I would assume that that they'd make it. They'll make it past, and they'll probably come up maybe.
Yeah, and then we talked about finally in the NBA, the Heat are just cruising. I mean, they just seem to be bored in their games.
Well, who are they playing? Milwaukee? Is that who they were playing or something like that? They're playing somebody like real low. So
they're just running right through them.
Yeah, just wait.
And then finally we were wrapping up with Matt Kenseth. He got busted with having a .01 gram underweight on one of his 8 pistons or something like that. Yeah, so the 7 were okay, but that one was like off. It was like milligrams of weight under, and now they're suspending his car. They're $280,000 fines. They're suspending the crew chief. They took 50 points off his championship points, which took him from 4th to 14th in the standings. They're suspending him, I believe, for so many. I think it said so many races or something. If I'm wrong, folks, you can tell me I'm wrong. Is that too much for that?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been an accident. It could have been something off of the piston. I mean, I understand they're supposed to do a thorough check of those cars.
Exactly.
And they're supposed to check them before the races or do their, like...
Well, he had just won. He just won.
Well, yeah, but the thing is it doesn't matter. I mean, they were supposed to check that stuff right before the race. I mean, they do, like, the random drug test on cars, where they go around and check the crap.
Now, I could understand if, like, his spoiler was, like, 10 feet or 10 pounds too light or something like that, or
or they changed it between the front or between the time that it was checked and
So again, we also had came on here and said that we think that's just over.
Yeah,
that's just too much. It's too much. It's unfair. We're asking the people to leave feedback or comment. Now, anyway, so that's it for us. But you had something you wanted to bring up in today's show. What's going on?
So anyway, so I'm scrolling through Yahoo, right, and I'm going through their little things. And they bring up this question of who was the best fighter ever. And I don't mean MMA, I mean boxing.
Boxing,
and so we're talking old school, we go back.
Is there still boxing?
Yeah, there's still boxing. And so, anyway, they had the 2 top guys, which they were saying, who was better, Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali? And it all goes back to, like we were talking about with LeBron James, they're 2 different separate people. You cannot put those guys together for what they did for boxing. Muhammad Ali, and there was guys before Muhammad Ali. There was a guy, I can't remember his name, but he was a slave, and he fought, and he was the first world champion.
Oh wow!
And or close to it, first black world champion. Then there was Muhammad Ali after that, and then you had, Joe Frazier, all those guys. But the thing is that to compare Muhammad Ali to Mike Tyson, you just...
Well, I mean, I think what people always try to do with the heads of the sport, like Jordan and LeBron and Barry Sanders and freaking the guy right now is the one from Minnesota.
Adrian Peterson.
Peterson, yeah, thank you. So everyone wants to have someone to compare to.
Yeah,
that's what they try to do. The thing is, I think personally, you're right. You can't compare the two because Muhammad Ali was a technician of the sport, and freaking Mike Tyson was a headhunter.
Yeah,
I mean, he wanted to knock your head off.
Oh yeah.
He went in there and he wanted to finish the fight in 2-3 rounds.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali,
2-3 rounds, like 2 seconds.
Yeah. So Muhammad Ali, though, he wanted to put on a clinic. He wanted to embarrass you. He wanted to just sit there and just dot your eyes shut and freaking just make you want to give up.
Right.
Mike Tyson was like, that uppercut was so vicious. I remember seeing that on all the highlights. I mean, the way he bit Evander Holyfield's ear off, where he had that grunt on his face, was the way he'd come up with that uppercut and just blast someone like this right up through the middle.
Well, but you look at it, you compare the two. I mean, Tyson was just raw power. Muhammad Ali was finesse, like a technician.
Well, flowing like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That was exactly.
He honed his craft. I mean, this guy just went out and knocked people's heads off. This guy would play with you. I mean,
I think that's a good topic to talk about. And if we had enough show, we would sit here and break it down for 30 minutes. But I think I'll leave with this part as far as my side goes. I think, given the weight difference, because it seemed like Mike Tyson to me was a lot thicker, a lot. He was built like a pit bull, where Muhammad Ali was a lot leaner, taller, slicker.
Right.
I think, given if Muhammad Ali could withstand those first 3 rounds of those heavy blows, heavy leather coming from Mike Tyson, his stamina and his finesse, his technical boxing, because basically that's what Evander Holyfield did.
Yeah.
He outlasted his heavy blows and then went to the jab and combination, and Mike Tyson got frustrated and couldn't deal with it. Now, granted, that was towards the end of Mike Tyson's career.
Right.
But I think the same thing would have happened if Muhammad Ali's chin could have withstood those first few.
Well, he wouldn't. I think Muhammad Ali could actually take Tyson. I honestly think, just because of the fact that I think Muhammad Ali could be faster, maneuver faster than Tyson could throw them.
But you got to look. They said the same thing about Spinks too. Spinks was a leaner, taller, very athletic, fast, but Mike Tyson got him in those corners, got him in the ropes, and blasted away. And just, I don't know. It's a good topic. If you're interested in this topic, let us know. Leave feedback again.
Yeah, tell us who you think would win.
Yeah.
Tell us who you think's the best boxer.
Sure, and we'll discuss it on the next show. We'll bring it back up when we have more time, and we'll beat this down, because I think this is a good topic. Who was the best boxer in their prime? Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. If there might be someone else you think, let us know. But for right now, man, thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me.
We love to have guests come in. If you're in the area, don't hesitate. Get a hold of us. We'd be happy to have you. But for right now, J. Real, Gonzo, we're going to sign out. Peace and much love. See you next time. J.